We're here with NCCU men's basketball head coach LeVelle Moton. Coach, same question to you. Go ahead and give us a look back at how the offseason has gone for you.
We got I think 7 new guys. So you guys already know anytime you're replacing 7 seniors from a championship basketball team, there's going to be a certain level of regress. But needless to say, we got some good individuals, some great character kids who we're certainly excited to have. Right now they're going through the process, and that's not easy for them because it's a bit humbling, to say the least. Regardless of how you performed at your previous schools, we are who we are here. The standard is the standard here, and you guys know me pretty well by now. So we have a habit of kind of exposing and pulling your card of who you are and breaking you down only to build you back up. So that's the process, and it's not fun for them, or as much fun for them right now, but we're certainly excited to get things started in November.
Have you had to break out the musical chairs yet?
That's next week. Musical chairs would definitely be next week because, you know, it's always interesting. You know, we have a couple of high school kids. One of our point guards, Reggie Perkins, he's probably won over 100 games in his career, so he don't know what losing is. He hasn't really tasted his own blood. Same thing with, Reggie Gardner from DeMatha, Jordan Perkins from Greensboro. And Reggie coming from DeMatha, you know, he played behind Markel Falk for years. So y'all know how the powerhouse of DeMatha is. So these kids really haven't tasted their own blood, but now they get here. And it's a welcome to Division I. And also our JUCO transfers. You know, it's a little different on this level in the expectation. So, you know, we had to correct some attitudes and some frustrations last week. And, you know, a couple of them felt like when things didn't go their way, they felt compelled to pout, and as if somebody was going to run in the corner and follow them and ask them what's wrong. And I just told them it's a real world that's going to await them in 2 years when they leave here if you're a junior college guy, in 4 years if you're a freshman guy, so you best get on the ball. And so we hold them to our standard, and we never compromise, and, you know, we're not trying to care about anyone's feelings once they're on the court, because feelings don't win championships, and that's what we're about here.
I like that one of the first things you mentioned about this team is that you have great character kids.
Yeah.
How important is that in building a team, especially a young team?
It's extremely important, man, especially for me. You know, when I started, I just wanted talented basketball players, and then, you know, you're fighting those guys. It's almost like loving hip-hop off the floor. So I was like, nah, I don't want to go through that. And what I've learned is when you get good character kids, there's a level of humility that comes with that. And oftentimes, good character kids will trump talented kids who aren't willing to listen. And that's one of the little nuggets I've learned in my coaching career. And, you know, it's great. And the other piece of it, they're fun to be around. You know, when my kids walk in the gym, you know, they're instantly working out LeVelle and high-fiving my daughter, you know, so that's always a wonderful thing. And you love having those kids around, and we'll go out to eat, and they'll come over to the house, and we went to church Sunday, so it was great, man. It was just always a pleasure to be around positive, spirited guys.
I know last year at one point you told me that just because of kind of the makeup of the seniors on your team, you were the vocal leader sometimes.
Yeah.
Is that still the case this year, or do you have more outspoken guys?
They're trying to find themselves. What I found, you know, and I guess it's the climate and, you know, just this generation of kids. And I told a group of high school coaches, like, we beg for leadership from our kids, but the truth of the matter is, where have they ever led? You know, I was a latchkey child, so my mom was gone all day. So when I went out and played in the street for 8-9 hours, I had to lead myself and make my own decisions. These kids aren't like that. You know, I was involved in the Boy Scouts and the Boys Club and the YMCA, et cetera, and which placed me in leadership positions. These kids aren't like that. So it's hard to really say, how can we get a kid to lead and they haven't led anything their entire life? And, you know, I don't mind being a leader because at the end of the day, it's going to be my voice that's trumping and serving as the executive director, I guess. So I don't mind being it, but I do hope some of our guys from last year who's evolving into other roles can step up and, you know, lead vocally as well.
You guys definitely you guys are always the hunters. People want to beat.
Yeah.
But winning another championship and going to another tournament doesn't help. So, of course, you have that big target on your back. Again, do these new guys kind of really understand how much pressure that's going to be?
They don't. Because truth of the matter is, right now they're trying to find themselves. And what you'll soon discover is when you recruit a kid, a lot of kids want what it looked like, but they don't want what it feel like. And that preseason exposes how it feels. Now you're in our practices and you know how we really practices, because the championship externally, you don't see what goes on. You just see the trophies and the jewelry and the ring ceremonies and the YouTubes and whatever else you want to see. But the labor, the blue collar labor, that's tough for any kid that arrives in our program, and it makes you question yourself. We had a kid that said, "Coach, I don't know if this for me." I said, "Well, you can pack your bags because I'm not changing. So it's on you." And he came back and had a heck of a practice, the following day. But they're trying to find themselves right now. And I tell them the standard is the standard. I'm not going to sit up here and tell y'all we're just going to try to compete and be a good basketball team, because that don't work. Like, it's 13 dogs in the MEAC chasing one bone. And at the end of the day, the championship is the standard. And I know that. Our team know that. Our fans know that. I had a fan I saw on Harris Teeter the other day. They said, "Can we get to the Sweet 16 this year?" So I don't know what Sweet 16 they were talking about, but that's my goal too. If they like it, then I love it. So that's definitely my goal, and I like the expectations. I definitely like it on this end as opposed to the other end, because I've been on that other end too. That's no fun either.
It's probably big for your guys to, all the new faces anyway, to see those guys who actually get those rings and kind of go carry in front of them.
Yeah, they had their best practice the day after that ring ceremony, and these guys are coming in on the heels of Utopia, man. They got a lot of girls liking them now, and they haven't scored a point. But it's because Pat Cole have set that stage for them, and now all they got to do is put on a North Carolina Central shirt, and the girls here don't know. They just think you're a part of a basketball team that we heard is pretty good, and they feed it into it, saying, "Yeah, I averaged 20 last year. You're a freshman," So I get all that, man. I've been here, I played here, so I know how that game goes as well. And I tell them, be careful about what you're telling people, because they're going to throw that ball up, and those same people going to be in these stands looking at you. So you're going to have to back that up. It's fun in games now until you get a phone number and she come in here and put them eyeballs on you. And the moment you miss a layup, she don't want you no more. That's how that game goes. So we have fun with it, but it's real talk. It's real raw, uncut talk, and that's the only way I know how to get through these guys, and that's the only way we can get through this process, is just to be real.
Are they picking up the system a little better? I know
they are. They are. We was with our staff yesterday, and it's almost like, obviously in our system, the point guard is a huge factor. And, traditionally we've had some incredible point guards, from Poobie to Nimrod to, DeJuan Graff, and, it's now who's going to step up this year. So, you got Austin Jones and, C.J. Wiggins being here, so he's trying to mark his territory. And that freshman is right on him too, and he's coming with a world full of confidence and telling them about it. He reminds me of Poobie Chapman, and just in his demeanor, how he carries himself and conducts himself. So we got 15 dudes out there. So practice is a war. So I don't have to tell them how to play hard, because they know the rules haven't changed. I can only play 5 people at one time. So they jock in for those positions.
Coach, I know we're getting ready to start a new season now, but how long did it take you to kind of flush out that game from Dayton?
It's unflushed. I still need a laxative for that, I guess, because that will never go. I never remember the championships. I just always remember the losses, because I feel as if that falls back on me. It's something we could have done. What play could I have ran? Should I have went zone here? Should I have went man here? And it's all a learning experience for myself as well, because we've exceeded the expectations. It's interesting. When I first got the job, I think we had won 2 games the previous year. And everybody said, "Man, just win 3 games." I was like, all right, cool. Then the following year, I think we were going into our true independence. They said, "Man, just try to be 500. I was like, all right, cool. Then we went into the MEAC, and it was just try to be 500 and just beat A&T one time. And now it's Sweet 16 talk around here. So I don't know where it changed. I got to go back on that timeline and see. But, the standard is the standard, and we're not going to shy away from it.
But that was your standard coming in, so I'm sure you appreciate the fact
Yeah.
that the outsiders buying into that now.
Yeah, they bought into it, but I want them to buy into it smartly, and just not have, and understand Sweet 16, that takes sweeter and $16 more thousand for you to donate to our program, so it's a give and take on both ends of it. And me and Jerry Mack was having this conversation as well, and he called me one day. He said, "Man, you told me this part was going to come. It's okay, and then winning is just enough, and then once you get to another level, it's okay, when y'all going to beat Duke, when y'all going to beat Carolina." And they're dead serious about it, and I'm dead serious about it. Like I said, I like that expectation, and I wouldn't rather have it any other way.
What are your goals and expectations for this season?
It's just always to win every day, believe it or not. I don't even know who we're playing the first game, and that's the God's honest truth. I don't know the date. All I know is we got practice today at 4 o'clock off campus because it's homecoming. And we just try to win every day. I just think when you try to look so far ahead, it's difficult. You can lose yourself, and you can lose sight of, that process and the everyday struggle that you must endure. It's almost impossible to want championship results in April and you're not doing what you're supposed to do in August and September and October. And I tell our kids that all the time. You got to win every day. You got to win in practice, you got to win in the weight room, you got to win in the classroom, and you got to win in terms of being a good citizen on this campus. You can't give 50% in that category and then expect a perfect outcome in April. That's just not how it works, and that ain't never how my life worked anyway. So I just try to remind them and just say, look, we're just going to win every day. And once you win every day, once you give 1,000% every day, when you look back, all of the awards and accolades, they tend to take care of themselves.
You said after your team ran did the preseason condition and everything, this team probably the best run you've seen.
Yeah.
And you said that can tell you a lot about your team every year. Has that carried over into actual practice the last couple weeks?
It has. It has. Now, with that said, that's phase one of it, but this was definitely the best conditioned team that we've ever had here in terms of what we do with Eagle Storm, because I've seen it break the biggest and the strongest down. And it makes you question yourself. And a wise man once always told me, life is about defeating that voice in your head, especially when you're running and conditioning, because that voice is telling you, we need to stop. My chest is hurting. I got a hamstring. Let's do this tomorrow, et cetera, et cetera. And if you can't defeat that voice, then you're not going to be able to defeat any opponent that you play against. And that's just the will and the mental toughness that's required to receive championship opportunities.
You had Coach K come over to speak at your dinner and all. What is it that you think your players, got from hearing from him?
They were probably in awe a little bit, because, they're just the cool generation, so they want to act publicly. If you look at everyone's Instagram page, all my players are rich and just doing it. They're NBA basketball players. They already achieved the American dream right now. But in private, they all ran to my office and said, Coach, can we get a selfie with Coach when he come? And, so they were in awe. And that's good, because that means they respect the game. And someone of that magnitude who's 5 minutes away should be respected. One thing he asked me on the phone prior to coming, he said, Vel, do you mind if I talk to your kids? And I was like, you took the words out of my mouth. I was going to ask you that anyway. So he really spoke to him at Great Lens, probably 15 minutes. He had him in the circle, and he was talking to him as if they were his team. And he talked about the USA experience and some of their favorite players and what the hard work that they put in behind the scenes. I know that, he know that, but they don't know that. They see James Harden and see a $250 million contract, whatever it is. But they don't know James Harden is probably the hardest working dude in the NBA. They ask me questions about John Wall all the time because they just see John on TV. So they, Coach, what is he like? And I said, I'll sum it up in one way. We're from the same block. I said, so John called me this summer, and I'll never forget it. And he was highly upset because he didn't make first or second team All-NBA, right? And he was really pissed off. Here's a guy that has probably $250 million in his bank account, and he's pissed off. This guy on our team has nothing in his bank account, and he's happy. You know, so that's, in math, what they call that, an improper fraction, right? That's an improper fraction right there. So I said that's the mentality that you have to have. So Coach K kind of reiterated that to them as they were talking and was telling them about how much work it was going to take for them to achieve the ultimate goal.
You guys have a scrimmage coming up. It's supposed to be a secret scrimmage, but they put a list out against UNCG. Has it already happened? Was it coming up?
Yeah. When is it? This Saturday.
What are you kind of looking for playing to get out?
You know, it'll be refreshing to play against someone other than yourselves. Wes has done a remarkable job, and, you know, he and I got a great relationship dating back to his days at Carolina. So I always wanted to play them because they were really good last year. I think they won the regular season conference title. They have a bulk of those guys returning. So we'll get the ultimate experience. They have quickness, they have length, they present a certain physicality that will welcome a lot of our guys into Division I. And from those scrimmages, it is what it is. Some guys going to be nervous. I'm just happy to get something under our belts. It always comes across as a good experience for them. You leave away with pros and cons, and it's great for our film study because it's a level of humility that's going to be involved. Because you're telling a guy in practice, yo, you can't do that. You can't throw this ball from one side of the floor across the other floor. And they're going to try it because sometimes when you tell people not to touch the stove, some will listen, but some will go touch the stove. And now you got his attention in film study the following day. So you're going to see a bunch of that, and it's a bunch of corrections, and, you know, that's what I'm interested in so we can constantly build to prepare.
I want to ask you about the schedule, but you say you played.
Yeah, you're going to have to remind me.
Obviously, you always play up, and you travel almost anywhere.
Mm-hmm.
How big is that when it comes to gelling together a new team who's not really familiar with each other?
It's great for them. I don't like it no more. Like, I'm past the point of sitting in the airports with 19-year-old kids. Like, we have nothing in common. So that's really a lonely, isolated time for me. So normally I'm on the phone with my wife or trying to FaceTime my kids or something like that. But it breeds them as well because there's some long layovers and some long bus rides. And, you know, it's always going to be tough for us in terms of scheduling because it's hard pressed to get games around here, you know, within the breadbasket states, the North Carolinas, South Carolinas, Virginias. Like, that's just tough. We've caught everyone along the coast. So if they listening, please call us if you want to play so we don't have to travel to Grand Canyon, which is in Arizona, or Evansville, Indiana, or Chicago, or wherever we going. Like, you know, so if nothing else, I get my frequent flyer miles up, and I use them in the summer for vacation with my wife.
When you throw those guys, those 15 guys in the gym where everybody's against them, that's obviously a chance for them to bond. They have to be a team together.
Yeah, that's fun. That's fun for me, especially when the arena's loud, you can't hear anything, and they look at you with that look like, Coach, what I supposed to do now? The same thing I told you in practice. You follow? Like, you get their undivided attention. It's going to take, it's unfortunate, but it's going to take some of those situations because they've been stars at their JUCOs or stars at their high schools or stars. In their mind, they just a star now, and they might have transferred from somewhere else, averaged 6 points, but they're a star anyway. So that welcoming them to the NCAA Division I, it'll humble you. And once they taste their own blood, we'll get their undivided attention.
And because you've beaten some of these teams, you can't really sneak up on anybody anymore. Yeah,
that's past. But, you know, I like it because now they don't have any excuses as well. You know, it's kind of, you know, when I first got the job and we were playing these schools, and I won't mention any of them out of respect, but, it felt disrespected. I felt disrespected because we would lose by 4 or 6 to a Power 5 school. And I just remember one particular coach saying in his press conference that, it's because they had exams, so they weren't really focused. And so no one ever gave you credit. So I just told our team, you're just going to have to beat them. That's period. So now, it was amazing because when I look back at the NC State game and we beat them, our kids walked off the floor like, whatever. Like, there was no celebration on the floor. Now, we tore the locker room up, but but the floor was just like, okay, let's just shake hands. And the same thing with Missouri. There was no celebration last year when we beat Missouri. And I had to tell them, look, okay, y'all can chest bump and do whatever now, okay? Like, this is Missouri. So the expectation is the expectation, and the standard is a standard, and we prepare for that. They put their pants on just like us, and, that's just kind of the emblem and the mantra of who we are. And that's become our bloodline. It's become a part of our DNA. And, I like it that way.
Coach, you're an old school guy. You had to earn it from day one all the way up to now. And today's college basketball, when you look at the kids who transfer and all that stuff, and they come in, they're highly touted, are these kids willing to earn their position, or? Nah,
we just had our door at the gymnasium wrapped, and we put the trophies up there, and it actually says NC Central Championships earned, not given. And, again, it's hard. It's really difficult to convince a kid why he has to earn something when he hasn't earned anything his entire life. They're spoiled. And the unusual thing about being spoiled is, like, you don't even know you're spoiled. Like, that's my daughter. When I tell her she's spoiled, she look at me like, oh, this is all I know, right? So same thing with these kids, where they haven't really been challenged in their grassroots level of basketball or high school or AAU because coaches feared they would leave and go play somewhere else. I didn't grow up under that roof. I didn't grow up under those type of programs or circumstances. But they know now they have to earn something. And we try to implement those things during preseason, during our Eagle Storm. For the first 2 months they're here in school, we don't give them nothing. They're out there playing in white T-shirts and whatever T-shirts they're going to have, their sneakers. They're running in white T-shirts or no shirt, whatever, in their sneakers. And they don't get any NCCU gear until they complete Eagle Storm. And every year I issue it to them, it's almost like Christmas. They're hugging me like, thanks, Coach. And I'm giving them like a duffel bag, like Santa Claus. And they're hugging me because they appreciate it. And they see that they earned it as well. So, as a leader, all you can do is kind of employ those tactics and make sure you change their mentality, because it's not about basketball, really. It's just about this world don't care anything about you when you stop being a basketball player. Like, that's the truth of the matter. And you're going to have to go out here and be successful. And whining and pouting and hoping and wishing someone going to give you anything, that's for the birds. That's dated. That's not going to happen.
This has been an exclusive presentation of the NCCU Sports Network.